All right, good morning, cyber traders. Welcome on back here this Wednesday, January 12th, shortly after 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Welcome on back here for our morning meeting. Great to see Norman, great to see Grant, Leda, and all of us otherwise, Gino included, Mark, Tony. Great to see everybody live here in the Cyber Group Trading Room, Chuck as well. And hey, if you're joining us once again on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, welcome on back. So, folks, let's jump right into it. We had a bit of a wonky day yesterday. Market pushed up greatly. Great market day, but all in all, for the stocks that we were following from the gainers and losers lists, I mean, hey, there were a couple of good ones, but it was a bit of a wonky, funky day where you were hoping for a big move on one stock, you didn't get it, and then out of nowhere, you have this other stock just making a huge pop unexpectedly and catching us off guard. So let's recap a couple of those movers. The IMRN is on the screen here to begin. We'll jump right back to this. Needless to be said, this is going to go right on the morning watch list, this IMRN trade. But let's start off on Vine, VINE. Now, Vine wasn't a stock on the morning watch list. Like I said, there were a couple that ended up making some unexpected pops and moves and, out of nowhere, prior to 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, prior to the afternoon meeting, we ended up seeing this stock just explode, getting halted and reopened up and ran up much higher from that point. So for the afternoon, we were pretty hopeful to see continuation on this trade. And during the afternoon meeting, I told you folks, hey, if this could break back over 8 here, give it a shake, give it a little test here just to see. And then if it could show more strength, re-breaking over 8 over a period of time, that's what you would look for. Well, this thing didn't even false break over 8 from where I told you that. It was like right here when we were going over this trade. Didn't even false break it, just held perfectly under 8. Unfortunately, didn't give us that extra push and ended up dropping off from the afternoon meeting heading into the close. What makes the top percent gainers list one day typically makes the percent losers list the next. That usually is the case. And to be transparent, it goes to show we had a bit of a wonky day yesterday because there aren't really too many of those stocks on the losers list this morning. This is one of them. Another stock that we'll jump to pretty quickly here, SBEV, down 10% today, but this ended up also making a nice move for us, at least after the market opened up. This one was one where we were more ready to try and trade it. News came out early in pre-market. I think it was in relation to a sports performance energy drink being available in the state of Florida. Not the greatest headline, not the biggest headline out there, but it ended up creating a nice pre-market trade where it ended up bouncing from 150 up towards 190, and then from that point ended up making a bit more of an afternoon move for us. As you could see, it dropped off after that point from the morning, from the market open, and it took a while, but ended up beginning to show some signs of life into the close, and with that, it ended up giving us a nice 15-20 cent push. For this morning, though, like I said, similar with the other trade there, we ended up seeing the stock on the percent losers list this morning down over 10% or just about. That's pretty flat here. So not particular about this stock for this morning for the market open. We'll keep it on the side list. Hey, you never know. Maybe there's a chance it could break out and pop after 9:30, but I'm going to hold off on this one for right now. Rather follow some other ones in the meantime first. All right, so we have the SBEV, we had the Vine trade, then the other one from yesterday, and it's actually making a bit of a move this morning as well. The PIK trade, we ended up seeing this make more of a snap up heading into the early afternoon. Also ended up popping prior to 2 p.m. where it got halted. Ended up reopening up and took a little bit, but ended up making that higher high as it broke above resistance off of 570, and then from there it took off pretty nicely. And as you could see, well, in the after hours, this thing ended up continuing. So we didn't catch this last pop here as the markets ended up closing up and we closed up shop inside the live trading room. I know one of us called it out in the after hours around 4:30 Eastern time. Let's just check the news on this trade. PIK, like, why did the stock make such a big pop in the after hours? So it looks like there was some guy on Twitter ended up pushing the stock from the morning session, that is, or from the early afternoon, I should rather say. Some tweet out there. Zach Morris tweeted, PIK belongs in the index under 1 million float, 300K maybe. I don't know what that means. Just to say, there's no other news as to why this stock ended up popping. I mean, just really nothing even after 4 p.m. from Benzinga Pro as to why the stock ended up making the second pop from 6 up towards just about 850. We don't need news in order to trade a stock, but you'd like to have some formal catalyst, right? I mean, it could just be a true short squeeze where you're just seeing a bunch of people covering their short positions over time and the stock's rampantly running up for that reason. That's possible. Right now, it's still up 18+% from the close yesterday. And, with that, we're definitely going to put this on the main list. Just be careful on this trade. If the volume dies off really fast on this stock, I could easily see this dumping right back down. We haven't really followed this stock really outside of yesterday. So a comment that I made yesterday, at least, it's just easy to say looking at the daily chart. But, if you're looking at this trade here or looking at the stock drop off back from Monday, it would suck to sell going into Monday at the close, only to see the stock the next morning rip right back on up, or at least from the afternoon yesterday. That was. We'll check in with the stock going into the open. We'll keep this on our list here. Otherwise, though, I'll tell you what, we had a pretty active pre-market today. We had a bunch of stocks moving really nicely. If it wasn't right after 8 a.m. Eastern time, it was going into 9 o'clock. So, let's start right from the top. The IMRN trade was the one on the screen to begin. And I told you folks right out the gate, we're going to put this stock on the watch list for the morning. Now, the news out on this stock, just allow me a quick second. I'll pull it back up from Benzinga Pro. All right, so IMRN shares trading higher after the company announced it received an AU 6.2 million award from the U.S. Department of Defense to clinically evaluate a military strength dosing regimen of whatever drug they have. All right, well, that's an interesting headline, at least. I guess that's Australian dollars, if I'm not mistaken. AU, could be wrong on that. 6.2 million, though, award from the U.S. Department of Defense. So pretty interesting. We ended up seeing the stock make a beautiful pop early in pre-market. But the trend now, I mean, hey, bounced off of 4 pretty nicely, and that's what we had called out. But after that, ended up hitting 450 and made an ugly shake back down here after 9 a.m. So just be careful on this stock. Like I said, we're going to put this on our watch list right away, just given the pop. It's up big, trading a lot of volume and great activity still on the chart. So for right now, we'll see what the stock does after the open. All right, so we keep it going. Not to get confused with IMRN, there's IMMX, and we ended up seeing the stock make a big pop going into last week, ended up making this beautiful move, broke all-time highs right away. Well, it ended up dropping off over time, heading into the end of last week and early this week. It hasn't offered us much. Well, outside of this morning, ended up making a huge pop after 8 o'clock. I put up the pre-market watch list, and myself and Fausto will always post the list before 8 o'clock. Hey, if you have the chance to trade at 7:30, then you're going to be in our trading room early on, and you'll be able to chat with a few of us. We tend to post the list out there by 7:45, 7:50 Eastern time. And then after that, at 8 o'clock, we look to rescan in the trading room at least a little bit more as to what we call the 8 a.m. move. Well, right after 8 o'clock, we ended up seeing the stock make a huge breakout and pop. From that point, though, volume died off as it ended up beginning to pull back and break under the 750 level. This doesn't look that great, folks. Looking at this chart, trending down really sharply heading into the market open. So, it wouldn't shock me if history repeats itself after 9:30. On the IMMX trade, though, one comment that I did make to you folks inside the live trading room, I wasn't guaranteeing this from my end, but just you have to call out a strong level if you see one. So with that, it was just more or less a level from the chart. Previous all-time high that this stock had, $6.32, 632, 631. It was the previous all-time high back from mid-December. Well, so far this week, just speaking for this week in particular, Monday and yesterday, the high, 632. Look where this is pulling back down to right now. So, at this point now, I definitely feel interested in seeing if that 631, 632 price could hold beautifully as support. And we'll see where it goes. So for right now, although it's dropping off really sharply here, and I wouldn't be surprised if it repeats itself after the open, I would definitely watch that 631 level as a big support. All right, so we got 3 of the top 4 on the gainers list already on the morning watch list. So we'll kind of just skim through otherwise and see what else we got. All right, we move on from this. This is a buyout. Even if it's not, that's just a pretty strong assumption I'll make there. NXGL, this stock I thought was good enough prior to 8 a.m. to put on our pre-market list, but afterwards only continued to dump off. So obviously this does not look too good right now on the intraday chart. On the daily chart, though, looks like another cheap new IPO. I don't know what's going on with all these newer IPOs, folks, that are like really inexpensive. Uh, I don't know how that's developing or why that's happening altogether, but we've been seeing a lot more of these over the last 2 months, really, than ever. Pretty interesting. We just talked about the IMMX trade, right? Here's NXGL, another stock, literally just right off the top of my head. KTTA, relatively new IPO, cheap, right? I'm sure there's plenty more. Just to kind of continue going through here, the NXGL, the daily charts keeping my interest alive on this trade, although the stock was trending down, and after this little peak just before, it's still pulling back and trending down. So, if anything, I may put this on the bottom of the watch list for the morning here, NXGL. But we'll see. We'll see as a new cheaper IPO to see if this could break above resistance or keep going at least. Oh, actually, I didn't mean to click BJRI. That's my trader's dyslexia kicking in, folks. BJDX. There we go. BJDX, this stock ended up making a nice move prior to 8 a.m. Eastern time, ended up making a better move afterwards, but now, flat as can be. I don't think this is, actually it is a newer IPO too, this BJDX, probably back from October, November time. Yeah, this is all you got from the daily chart here. I mean, it dropped off right away once it became public, so, we'll see what happens on this as well. If I put the NXGL on the watch list, it's hard to not put the BJDX. And to be transparent, we're actually pretty familiar with this BJDX. We've seen the stock make some moves in the past, and we've called it out recently over the last month. Another stock that's a pretty familiar name to at least a few of us longtime members inside Cyber Group. Jaguar, JAGX, ended up making a big pop, as you could see most recently, going back into mid-December. And then scaling back out on the daily chart. We've been all over this stock from the beginning of last. Right now, though, not doing a whole lot. I thought it was worthy to slip on the back of the pre-market list early prior to 8 a.m., but afterwards, nothing. All right, let's keep it going, folks. Some more familiar names, at least on the gainers list. I love to see that. OCGN is one of them. And guess what? I told you folks about this, a couple days ago. Not this move, but in the sense of prioritizing your watch list. Pre-market Monday, pre-market today. What's more active? I would assume pre-market today. So I was not interested in OCGN Monday morning because it looked completely lifeless and it only ended up dropping off afterwards, right? So we made the smart call there. Well, let's try and make the smart call this time again, and we'll put OCGN on the pre-market list or on the morning watch list here for the open. Holding 450 pretty nicely right now is a big support level. Even if it breaks under that, we'll see if it can make a bit of a slingshot afterwards. I think the closing bell print back from Monday, it was really big. That was at the price of $4.32. So if it breaks below 450, I would assume 432 in particular to be a big print level back from Monday's trading. All right, so OCGN we'll put on our list here too. So far, we have 6 stocks on the main watch list so far, folks. Pretty decent start. Bingo, BNGO, another familiar name. I'll look at this pretty quickly. Kind of moseying its way on up here. Strong chart. Looks almost a bit spotty looking at the 1-minute chart. A couple of points of inactivity, although it's been pushing up nicely. To see if there's any that show even more momentum or more strength. I'll tell you what, this little wiggle up on DD above 520 is piquing my interest even just a bit more. The stock is also a new IPO. This was back from September time. Ended up just getting demolished right away and only continued to drop heading into the end of last year. I don't know, between Bingo and DD both, let's see if there's anything even better than this. And if not, we'll kind of cherry pick all of these side list stocks at the end, whatever one looks the best. DNA up bigs, trading 232,000 shares. Now, this is a spotty chart. We'll pass on this one for sure. Tiger, another familiar name, TIGR. Also spotty. This is a spotty chart to me. Points of inactivity, albeit prior to 9 a.m. Definitely some bigger volume getting filled there. Looks like at 475. There's a bunch of volume filled exactly there, including a 26K print filled in green. So I don't know. I mean, it's definitely tradable. I think it's low risk, actually, if anything. But I want to see if there's even better. So we'll kind of group this with the bingo and the other one there. We'll kind of jump back to the gainers list at the end. All right, let's see what else is moving, folks. And otherwise, OCGN is also moving live right now. That just bounced right off the 450 level, or at least briefly did. So, we don't need to make a big list. NTP topping the losers list for right now. Shortable, probably at all-time lows too, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check. Nope, I am wrong on that. But not even 52-week lows either. Looks like a spotty 1-minute chart anyway. I was looking at the daily chart there just to kind of see if it was at all-time lows or not, but I'll pass. And then otherwise, folks, this might sound like laziness from my part, but I'll tell you it's not. It's just kind of experience and being efficient. There's not a whole lot on the losers list that piques my interest. I'll just tell you right now. Bunch of stuff hard to borrow. Oftentimes, those are just impossible to short, let alone hard to borrow. And that's it. I mean, hey, market's up big off the CPI numbers right now, folks. I'm not expecting for there to be a whole lot on the loser side for right now, right? Got one of us on YouTube requesting for us to look at ATAI. Let's look. This isn't really a day trade here. So for our member here on YouTube, I don't know if you're a brand new member joining us here live or if you've been with us for a bit. This is just something that we would not look to day trade at all. It's just lacking volume so far within the pre-market hours. This is what I would call kind of a spotty, inactive chart. It's up 5+%, but it's not running off of a whole lot of volume at all. So we're primarily day trading these equities here. We got to have a lot more volume than this. From Francia on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken, that could be Franny, one of our members inside Cybergroup, asking about the IMRN. So we covered this one already, Francia. This one's looking great already as far as a morning stock to watch. It's kind of dying off a bit here heading into the open. But otherwise, if this ends up holding support at 4, or even if it breaks below support at 4 and keeps dropping, you would imagine at some point for this to make a respectable bounce or move back up or even break out as it pops resistance. So, if it ends up dumping off after 9:30, don't try and catch the falling knife, but just be prepared to anticipate your next level of support if $4 breaks. Looking at my main chart that I'm trading off of this morning, my next level under 4 is exactly 350. Unless if there's something else that popped up on the bid prior to starting this meeting, then I would assume 350 to be your next major level of support here on this trade. All right, folks, I'll tell you what, nothing else from YouTube or Facebook Live, nothing else from the trading room, and that's okay. I think that means that we did our job and we pretty much went through them all, right? There could always be one that makes a freak pop or drop as soon as we finish up this meeting, right, folks? So, hey, if there is anything else that makes a really big move as soon as we finish up this meeting, or once the market opens up, for all of us live inside Cyber Group, you folks know we'll look to work together as a team and look to just try and focus on the best ones out there. We're not going to waste our time on something that's not going to move. So even if it's something from the morning watch list after the open, and if we see that it's not making any sort of respectable move that we're looking to take, move on from it. Find something else from the morning watch list. Find something else from the cyber group room, the chat board, or, as I'm calling them out, just check to see if there's anything else that's moving. All right, folks. So for all of us on YouTube, for all of us on Facebook Live, I appreciate you sticking with me each and every day. And for this week, each and every morning, I know that Fausto will be back in the saddle. I believe he should be back in the saddle tomorrow. So I had mentioned that yesterday. If it wasn't today, then it would be tomorrow. So he's resting up. He's getting better. And hopefully tomorrow you'll have Fausto to do the morning meeting. If you have any questions, though, that you would like to send over my way, feel more than free to send an email right to josh@ctutrading.com. I'll leave my email there on the stream to finish things up. But if you wanted to continue the audio commentary that we have inside our live trading room, just feel more than free to go down to the link on the banner below that stream there to get yourself started on a small trial. But for Kevin, for Skip, Leda, Aaron, Norman, Lawrence, I look forward to talking to you folks coming up right at the opening bell. Take care.